everyone, welcome to the Switch Talk Show. My name is ICT Bridget Mastery and I'm going to be your host. Today I'll be doing something different, something that I haven't done before here on the show. I have a guest with me. He is very articulate, very ambitious, and he is also a candidate of the 2019 governorship election in Ogun State, Nigeria. So, Mr. Adewale, welcome to the Switch Talk Show.
Thank you, Bridget, and thanks for having me on your show.
You're so welcome. So, what inspired you to want to become a governor in Nigeria?
Well, thanks, and thanks for the question. According to statistics, Nigeria has the fourth largest young population in the world. An estimated 57 million of the entire population are under the age of 24. This is nothing but a gold mine. But the problem is, each time we mention the word politics, we run away. We youth generally would like to spectate and criticize from outside.
Right.
I think now is the time for us to take charge. Now is the time for us to start replacing analog with digital. But somebody has to take the lead. Somebody has to lead the revolution that is about to take place in the Nigeria political system. And that is where I come in. I am well experienced, I'm well exposed, I'm well equipped to lead that charge. And not only that, there is a transformation that is about to take place in Ogun State, where I come from. We already have everything in place, and that is the main reason why I'm putting myself forward to contest in this coming election, because it's time for us to make this change. This is our life, this is our future, and we have to start taking the bull by the horn and lead this change that is about to take place.
Interesting. I've heard what you said, but what makes you think that you're the best candidate, and why do you think people should vote for you?
Well, thank you so much, Bridget, for this very interesting question. That question is interesting because it's a two-in-one question. But the good thing is that the answer to the second question is the first question. So I'm going to start with the second. I want people to vote for me because I'm the best.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm the best is that for the first time in the history of Ogun State, we have a governor that is coming with a laid-down plan. A plan that will directly impact the lives of every citizens and residents of Ogun State. And this is not just a plan, because what we have is that we know what to do and how to do it, because that is one thing that has been lacking in all these past administrations. Most of these old politicians, they come around with what they intend to do, but the technical know-how is nowhere to be found. So this time around, I have the technical ability, I have the mental capability, and I have the intellectual capability to execute all the programs that we have in place. I am very familiar with Ogun State, so I've had the opportunity of touring all the local governments and all the 236 wards that we have in Ogun State. So, which makes me very familiar with most of the challenges that are being faced on a daily basis by the citizens and residents of Ogun State. The last bit is my educational background. I am a trained data scientist and an experienced statistician. So all my life I've been dealing with data. And I tell you, on this rock, I will build my temple. Okay,
that's really interesting again. You also mentioned about your plans and the project that you have for your state. Does that also include the youth of Ogun State? Do you have any plans for the youth?
When you say the youth, as I said earlier, you're talking about the largest part of our population, the engine room of our economy. That is our main priority. And the way we manage, let me tell you something that people don't really know about Ogun State. Ogun State has the highest private institutions in Nigeria. So you can imagine the number of graduates we produce on a yearly basis. Our literacy rate in Ogun State is about 78.9%. So which means an average youth in Ogun State is educated to a certain degree. But the way we intend to set up this program in such a way that no matter who you are, no matter whether you're rich or you're poor, you will benefit from our program. Is first thing is, let's lay the foundation. We want to know our youth. How many are they? What is their age distribution? What is their demographic structure? where are they located, what is their academic qualification. And the only way we can know this is to set up what we call the Youth Registration Center in all our local governments. We are trying to build a database whereby every youth, if you are out of school, or even those that are still in the because as we plan for those that are out, we need to plan ahead for those that are coming out. So we will set up this program in such a way that youth will go to their local government, register, put in their details, so that we will have this information at our disposal. Then the next stage will be to start what we call the internship program for those that are educated, and the apprenticeship program for those that are not. The way we intend to run our internship program is to partner with the private sectors.
Okay.
So we are going to, based on your qualification, based on your discipline, you see, we will start to post our youth to where they will gain experience. Because at the end of the day, there are two things we want to achieve. We want to keep them busy, we want to keep them off the street, we want to let them know that there's a government in place that really cares for them, which this will also improve employability. Now, then, for those that are not really educated, we're going to start apprenticeship program. When we have time, I'll still go into this in more details. But the most important thing that I want to stress out is that every individual in that state is going to be impacted by our program.
It's so interesting to hear about the plans and ideas that you have for the youth in Ogun State, Nigeria. Let's now talk about the health system in Nigeria, because I know where I'm from, Sierra Leone, the healthcare is really it hasn't even improved a bit. So how do you plan to improve the healthcare in Nigeria?
Well, thank you, Bridget, for another wonderful question. See, each time we talk about healthcare services, people always think about three major things: the nurses, the doctors, and the hospital itself. It goes a bit beyond that. If you want our healthcare system to improve, there is something has to be done. And one of the things that we plan to put in place is what we call the Ogun State Integrated Medical Record System. This is very, very important. You cannot build a house without a foundation. And we are just going back to the foundation now, because if we don't have that, there's no way. Because just building hospitals, okay, let me take for example, according to 2006 census, which we are using in Nigeria, the population of Ogun State was 3.7 million, an estimate. Now, according to the Office of Statistics, the population has grown to about 7.something million. And, well, an unconfirmed report shows that in Ogun State we only have about 122 doctors, about 500 and something nurses. We have 25 general hospitals and 4 state hospitals. Look, but how do you monitor all this? One of the problems we've been having, when you look at the death rate, you see that there is no consistency in the. Our problem is not maybe we don't have. We've got good doctors. See, we've got good hospitals. But when there is no consistency in the kind of treatment that you get, see, that is where the problem always comes into play. So we want to connect all our hospitals together, so that if you go to one hospital today, you receive a treatment, and you go to another hospital tomorrow, it will be easy to connect and trace your record, because that is one thing we do not have. This electronic medical record has lots of advantages. Just because of time, I cannot really go into details. But if we are thinking of improving our healthcare services in Nigeria, that is the first thing. And I'm telling you, by the time we put this in place, we will not just have a very good healthcare services in Ogun State. We are going to have the best in Africa, because that is just the only way and no other way. Because now, take for instance, now we're talking. You're talking about waiting time. Just like look at what is happening in the UK. When you go to hospital, you can talk about waiting time. In Nigeria, you see, you don't have all those things. The only reason why people leave Nigeria to come to this part of the world to receive treatment is that because if there is a problem, they can always trace, their step back. In Nigeria, no, you can't. The 5% of our budget is being diverted into healthcare services in Ogun State. based on the information I have at my disposal. Like you're talking about accountability. How do you account for anything? You put drugs in the pharmacy. How do you explain how these drugs are being dispensed? So these are the little things that we need to put in place. And if we don't have this record right, there's no way we can improve the health system. So as I said earlier, that most of the things we're going to do in Lagos, it's just going to revolve around data, because that is just the only key. That is the key that is missing. I've said it several times that the only difference between this part of the world and Africa is the amount of information government owes about their citizens. If you don't have information about people, you cannot provide for, you cannot plan for them.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about proper planning, people are talking about corruption. How do you eradicate corruption? How many people do you want to arrest? How do you go about that?
Yeah.
Corruption, for instance, is a system. You can only build a system to fight another system. So these are the things that we are trying to bring into governance. And I'm very sure by the time we get in place, before we know it, within the shortest period of time, we will transform that state into where we want it to be.
You have mentioned about data. How do you intend to fund all this project?
I think the present administration in Ogun State has done really well in the areas of internally generated revenue. But most of these projects, they are not capital intensive. That is the secret. And we do not even intend to look into government purse to fund any of these projects. Don't forget that data is money.
Right.
So putting all these things in place will generate money itself. But we'll go into that later. But one thing I want to assure our people is that there are some of these projects that we don't really need to dip and into the government purse to fund. You don't need government money to build new hospital, because there are a lot of funds out here. I mean, there are some resources that we can tap into if you have a very good structure in place. If the level of trust is high and they know you're doing something wonderfully well, that it will benefit your people. See, we'll get sponsors. We don't really need to go and start borrowing money. These things we can do because that is the advantage of living here. We know where all this money is. We can tap into that. It's just a matter of putting up a very good project, and if they see what you're doing, they believe in you, they will sponsor and fund some of these projects, even to build roads. It will be shocking to you to know that you can tap into all these funds abroad to build road in your area. I've seen it work. Like if you go to a public government, most of the roads they have in the public government, they're not constructed with government money.
Right.
Just solicit for funding, outside the country. We can also, because the only reason why we are not getting that is that one, people have this myopic way of thinking by just believing the only source of money is either to dip into the state pocket or maybe what they get from the federal government. We need to start expanding our views and look at opportunities here and there that will benefit us. Because the most important thing is that we want to impact lives. We want to change lives of everybody. We want to get everybody connected. So there are two major ways that we're looking at: the data itself, that's money, and the funds that are available here. So those are the two major areas that we're looking. And don't forget, I mentioned earlier that most of these projects cost nothing. All we just need is the technical know-how and dedicated people that will do it.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. I've learned so much about data and youth development, even though I'm not a politic person. But thank you so much for being here today on the Speech Talk Show, and I hope to see you soon. And for those who are interested to ask more questions to Mr. Adewale, please do not hesitate to contact him on the email below. And I would like to thank all my viewers today for watching the Speech Talk Show. Do not hesitate as well to go on my social media pages. That's it for me. Goodbye.
Bye.